TUFF SHIFT. And welcome back to another episode of TUFF SHIFT, the podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. Yeah, baby. Did I get that out? The last show of 2025 and I got it out? Almost. I'm your host, Patrick Murtagh. There we go. I got it out. No mistakes. All it took was over a year. And a minor interjection in the middle of it. Anyways, welcome back to another episode of TUFF SHIFT. I am so excited to be here with the final episode of 2025. If you're watching me on YouTube and you're like, boy, he looks kind of tired, you're right, because I'm filming this intro literally hours before this episode goes live, because sometimes that's just how it goes. I worked my little tail off making sure I had enough content to get us through the year. And that's what we did. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to record this intro when I get back, because obviously, if you listened to last week's, this is part 2 of my conversation with Nikki, who I absolutely love and adore. And I just was like, I got a show coming up. I got all these, it's the holidays. I'm not going to try and record this while I'm in the Bay Area. I'm going to just enjoy myself and all the hard work that I put in. And it's already enough work trying to see all the people that I love and adore while I'm home for the holidays. Y'all can make do with an opener that's recorded just literally hours before the show goes live, right? And that's kind of what makes it exciting. And I am just so excited to be here. Not to sound like an asshole, I'm so fucking grateful. Really looking back at this year and just more of what this show has accomplished and done and created, what it's afforded me in connecting with my friends that I've worked with, my friends that I've, been on the front lines of brunches with and audition seasons. And we're looking at the start of another audition season. And I got to tell you, I'm really glad to not be in New York right now. It's wet, cold, snowy, all that. And I don't really miss audition season, to be honest. Uh, I don't think that's that shocking or revelatory. Audition season is a lot. And it's not in my heart to be there, and I'm not there. So that's wonderful. I'm here with you, still in the fight. I have been off for about 2 glorious weeks in the Bay Area doing my show or shows. If somehow any of my bosses are listening, there was definitely multiple shows that I did. And not just one show, and yet I managed to take 2 weeks off. So yes, it was a wonderful experience. I wore out my heels. I realized, these are size 12 red platform stilettos from Amazon, and they were like $40, and they got me through 2 concerts, and they may be my size, but they're not built for my size, like that's a lot for a linebacker on those shoes. And so they kind of wore out, and I kind of fell over at the end of the night, which was also a little bit the Manhattan's fault. Manhattan, the drink, not the city, because I was in San Francisco. But I'm just so happy to be here and to have gotten past the show and to have experienced it. To everyone who came out, I'm not sure if y'all know this, but San Francisco had a blackout the night before my holiday show, and torrential rain pour just coming in and out. It'd be just like buckets of rain falling from the sky, and then nothing, then super clear. And it was crazy and relentless. One night, not at the show, but after the show, it felt like there was just somebody with a garden hose spraying at our window, and we had our window open just like a little bit of crack to get some air circulating. And at one point I was like, don't move, because the wind might take the window. It was that scary. It was crazy time. But and on top of that, there was a PG&E. There was a fire at the Mission Bay station. I don't know what that was, but it put out like a third of San Francisco, including the Hotel Nico. And I was like, oh, wonderful. I might not get paid. I might not perform, which means I'm up here and I'm not going to get paid, and I got to pay my musician, my accompanist. I got to pay my videographer, and I've already paid for all this, and I've got 2 weeks off of work that I'm not getting paid for. I was shitting myself. And so to everyone who did come out, who braved the power outages, which thankfully the power came back on. The show went on without a hitch. One or two, but you don't need to know about that. And if you do, shut up. But the show went on and it was great. I had a wonderful time. It was one of those things where I feel more and more as an artist, I find myself just surrendering, like, oh, there might be a tickle there, or that just might be your neuroses. So either way, the show's going to go on. Or, oh, you're feeling dizzy? Oh, well, that might be something, or it might be your neuroses. Just make it do. And I think the show was great. And, it wasn't as full of a house as it has been in years past. And that happens every few years. There's just a light year, but considering there was the inclement weather, there was the massive power outage, and just last minute holiday stuff, like, the house wasn't as full. But the good thing is that the tickets were sold. So I prefer a fuller house, and I prefer that you be there. But if you can't be there, I'll still take your money. And I still did. So I cashed it. The check, I literally got home today and the check was waiting for me in the mail. And sorry that you couldn't make the show. I'll see you next year. I'll be there next year. Like I say, every year, you can count on me. You can count on me to be back there to celebrate the holidays with you. And that's what I'll do. For now, we're going to just put the holidays away with the rest of this episode. But before we do, uh, oh, uh, t- oh, I got some updates for y'all. I got some updates for you. So you've been keeping up to date with this holiday party that was supposed to happen at work, and I had filmed like 3 episodes before, like just leading up. So I was like, has it happened yet? Has it happened yet? And I was like, no, no, it hadn't happened yet. But now it's more than happened. It's like it happened 2 weeks ago when I was getting ready to go up to San Francisco, and let me tell you, oh, lovely. The ice cream truck is passing by. Um, I I skipped that party because obviously all the bullshit, the ugly Christmas sweater, the canned food drive thing. All canned food drives are great, but you know what I'm talking about if you've been listening to the show. Just the relentless morale boosters, as opposed to giving us things that could actually boost morale, like support and family meal, and then having us like do this potluck of a Christmas party for the staff that's dry on a Monday night at 10 p.m. Like, what the what? And like, everyone that was working Monday night, because they closed early, and then it was like everybody who was working Monday night was like, fuck my life, I don't want to be at this party, but how do I not go to a party when I'm already at work? I'm like, sucks to be you. Well, let me tell you something. Apparently, it sucks to be me. Because these motherfuckers, I get to work the next day and I find out that my work husband won a goddamn TV. Oh, yes. They were giving out TVs, multiple TVs, a KitchenAid stand mixer, gift certificate, appliances, all that. And not only that, they actually did put out a spread of food for everybody, and and the potluck was so people feel like they could contribute if they want to, whatever. But they actually did I was like, you've got, after all this, you guys finally, the one time that I'm like, I'm not gonna like, I've seen the peanuts, I know you go to kick that, Charlie Brown goes to kick that ball and Lucy just goes, just kidding. I did not think you guys would step up. And well, you actually did. You did step up. And I'm like, of course. That's when I like, I'm not going to be there, and that's when you decide to be everything I say you're not. What pieces of shit. And not only did they do that, not only did they put apparently an amazing Christmas party, but the next day the next day after that, I get up to the Bay Area and I get a text from a coworker. And I'm at the dollar store, getting as many Christmas bags as I can. And I get a text from a coworker. He's like, guess what was for family meal today? And I said, nada. Like, why are we playing this game? I'm in San Francisco. Don't bother me. Don't bother me, please. Nachos. I said, you motherfucker, what? He said, lamb nachos. So not only did they throw this apparently epic Christmas party for the staff, though it's still dry, which dry is good. We love it in January. We love it in our white wines. We love dry. But not only did they throw this party that when I wasn't there, But literally the day that I drove up to San Francisco, after complaining to them about how shitty they are, well, not to them, to some people, to my coworkers, but how shitty they are for not feeding their staff, especially at the holiday party, they put out not just a family meal, but nachos. Now listen, listeners, if you don't know what nachos are, I love nachos. I have posted a lot about nachos, but let me tell you this. I took a picture of myself with nachos. This was years ago. And my friend Jackie commented on it and she said, I could only wish to find a man that looks at me the same way Sean Patrick looks at a plate of nachos. I am the nacho queen. I For all my parties, I did a birria nacho. Actually Selena behind me. One year her birthday landed on Easter. And so I did a bitty bitty brunch and had like a happy birthday, Selena, and yeah, welcome back, Jesus. And we did birria nachos. I mean, it was all out nachos for every occasion. And I always tell people, like, I make everything from scratch. Not always, but I have and I can. And for the most part, I do about 90% of it from scratch. I'll I don't usually make the tortillas and then fry them, but I will get tortillas and cut them and fry them into chips. Just because no, that's not true. I've done it before. I have made tortillas and then waited a day and then fried them. So take that. But because that one, you just really get the doradito. You get that golden crisp on the chip when you fry them fresh before you make the nachos. Oh, so good. I make all the sauces from scratch. The cheese I grate by hand. The guacamole. And then I just say, what proteins do you want? What proteins do you want? I will do goat. I will do lamb. I will do chicken. I will do whatever seafood. I made when the Game of Thrones. I used to throw Game of Thrones parties, and I would have themed menus each week. And for the 7th season finale, no, for the 8th season finale, I did Lord of the 7 nachos, and then they fucking split up the kingdoms, and it was just 6. But I did 7 different nachos that party. I did a bruschetta nacho. I did a barbecue chicken nacho with baked beans and all that. I mean, I love nachos. So when I say that this was personal, that the one time they put up family meal and it's nachos, and I'm not even in like I'm not even in a 6-hour driving radius of them. I'm just like just north of that. Fuck them. And I am more determined than ever. And I'm gonna just say this, and I hope if I don't, we'll regroup and continue to get our ducks in a row. But my hope and my goal is to be out by Valentine's Day. So please, whatever you can to assist me, even if that's just holding me accountable. But if I'm not out by Valentine's Day for whatever reason, shoot me. No, please don't. Don't do that. But we'll regroup. We'll regroup and we'll re-strategize on getting me out of this restaurant. But I've had so many wonderful things happen in the past few weeks as far as people stepping up for job opportunities, for building out my client list for my bookkeeping stuff that I do, and more creative things that can kind of like bring me back to San Francisco, maybe bring me to New York, and just kind of make me a little more global in how I do and what I do, and just making money wherever I go. So that's exciting. So that's what I'm looking for in this new year. That's my intention that I'm putting out there. So please breathe some of that intention into reality with me if you do not mind. And it won't matter what they put out for family meal. It won't matter about the stand mixer. I'll buy my own. I have a stand mixer. I have a I don't need any of their things. I don't need anything to do with this restaurant. And I'll still have plenty of stories to share. I'm still going to be doing catering just to kind of offset as I build up my client list. And then, if I book a show in Utah or book a show wherever, or if I want to just go up to Tahoe with my partner and his family, I can do that, and I can work remotely and do what I need to do and continue to bring these episodes to you and the amazing human beings that had just make a life for themselves in hospitality and make your experiences as magical as they are. Speaking of magical, that's what we're going to talk about in a little bit with Nikki, because we're going to get into a little more of the witchy aspect of her life and her creativity and her art, a little more into her podcast, What the Mystical Hell, a little more into the Golden Apple Metaphysical Shop online, how you can find and get in touch with healers and psychics and card readers and intuits and all that. We'll get to that. So that's the magic of the new year, just kind of talking about this time of year. My show ended up being on the winter solstice, and while I didn't know how to end my show. It's just like there are certain parts where like the show writes itself, and then there are some parts where it's like I want to say something sincere, but I don't want to sound like a Hallmark card. And if you came to my show, you'll figure out the inspiration for how I ended it in this second half of our conversation with Nikki, who, again, I just love and adore. I actually did not get to see her because the time goes by so quickly in San Francisco when you're performing and you have a giant Irish and Latino family and friends that you just love and adore, and just you can't see everybody every trip. But I'm hoping to be up there early in this new year, and I will make that right with Nikki and everyone else that I didn't get a chance to hang out with. But before I do, I just want to tell you, like, I had an experience um, on Christmas Eve. I always take my parents out to dinner on Christmas Eve, and that's their gift. We go to church. We go to this one place called Andiamo in Banca, which is in South City. Highly recommend it. The story is not about them. We didn't go this year, and we should have, but there was a thing with reservations where we were at 6 and then we were 5, and then it was like, oh well, they don't have room for us here, so we have to go to this other place down the street that used to be the place. I'm like, well, who cares? Like, we can't get in the place that we want, but we're getting a place that we know is solid. So I just make the reservation for 5. We went from 6 to 5 and made the reservation because it was the only place that could get a table that size at the time we needed it. And then Christmas Eve comes and we go back down to 3. So it's just my parents and I. Jeremy he had to work this year, and so he stayed in Orinda and was working through Mass, which I'm sure he was heartbroken about. Like my Jewish partner not being able to go to a Catholic Mass for Christmas. I know he was shattered, but I'm sure he'll get over it soon. Um, but we ended up, going to dinner. I was like, well, I can't cancel at this place because this is what I do for a living. And I know what happens when you cancel a reservation, whether it's a last minute emergency or not, whether you just don't want to do it or not. It fucks with people's numbers. And especially, like, oh, don't go anywhere you don't want to go. I'm gonna just put the back end of the story up front. Don't go anywhere you want to go. But this is where my mind was: is I can't cancel last minute for not a good enough reason other than I'd just rather go to this other place now that we're back down to 3 people. Like, we're under 5. Like, I should have, but I didn't. I was like, because this restaurant is counting on the numbers in their books. That's what they've staffed for. That's what they're expecting to make. That's what so they can, give enough hours, make enough money and you don't want to fuck them over, because then it's like they staff and they prepare, they buy all this food, they get ready for this night, and then you cancel half of their reservations. It's kind of a shitty thing to do, especially on Christmas Eve. So it's like we walk by on Yamo and Banca and we're like, bye, see you next year, love you, and walk down to the street to this place that used to be the spot. And I walked in and I was like, this ain't it. Like, something, I was like, spidey senses, like, this is going to be a shit show. And it wasn't like the place was on fire. It wasn't chaotic, but it wasn't not chaotic. I could just tell when I walked in, like, we're going to get bad service. And I just knew it. I just knew it. They didn't even like check in our reservations. Like, how many are you? How many are you? And they talked to this one group who got there before us, and it's like, oh, you're 5? Come with us. And then they go, and then the people come back, and like, he told us to come back out here and wait. It's not a big restaurant. He would know if he would just go like this to see if the table's ready or not. Didn't. And it wasn't. So whatever that was. And then they came back. And then he's like, leaves them in the front. He's like, you guys. I'm like, 3. And he's like, come with me. And then leaves this group here. And then we sit down and the tables around us are like all a mess, just stuff left on the tables. There's a group of like 16 right next to us that's just finishing up. And again, it wasn't that busy, but like, no, everyone was running around like a little stressed. Like nothing was on fire, but I could just tell. I was like, oh, they're understaffed and underprepared for this evening. So we're there and we're sitting and we're sitting and we're waiting. And finally, the owner, uh, who looks like a knockoff Jerry Mathis, comes up and is like, "Oh, hello, everyone," and just like at us. And it's like, yeah, I'll just have a Manhattan. I'll have a Manhattan because that's what I get on Christmas Eve. I have a Manhattans, have my steak dinner with my parents, love it. Uh, and then comes back with my Manhattan, and there's still like no water on the table. It's like, okay, well, sometimes in California you got to ask for it, but then we couldn't ask for it because they just kept ignoring us and leaving us to sit there. And then another group comes in, a five, and as soon as they sit, it's like Beauty and the Beast. They just everyone runs around the table, and there's bread and butter and oil and vinegar and all and then but everything, water for everybody, getting a round of drinks for everybody. And we're just like sitting there. My mom's just like, excuse me. Oh, hi. But I was like, Mom, I got this. You need to know who you're talking to, and you need to make eye contact. And you have to get somebody who's not going to a table behind you because they'll not stop. So I finally get the knockoff Jerry Mathis. I'm like, hey there, do you mind if we get just some water for the table? My parents would really love a glass of water. Yeah, of course, of course, he tells one of the bussers. And then the bussers go and bring water and bread to another table. And we're just sitting there. And the guy comes back and takes our order. Still no water, nothing. And we give him our order, which we had to repeat a few times over. And he was writing it like the bottom part of a pad that like wasn't even like, there was like not enough room to take a full order. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be really interesting. And then he goes away, and then I finally get a busser to bring us water and bread. Just being very chill, because I'm here. I'm not going to be one of those people that's just complaining because I know what's going on. I know that they're dropping the ball. The owner, at least, is dropping the ball. But the staff, the bussers, all that, like, I'm here for them. And even the owner a little bit. Like, this is going to be a shitty experience. And he comes back about 10 minutes later. He's like, I just want to recheck on your order. You got the boom, 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 boom. And we're like, he's going through the order. And it's like, it's been a full 10 minutes. You haven't put it in. And it's like, again, not that busy, but something happened. Something has happened. And then finally, like, my salad comes, my dad's salad comes. And my salad was like a $16 starter salad, which I'm like, that's annoying. But it sounded good. What came out was like a head of romaine lettuce with the bottom cut off and the tips cut off. And then just like the entire thing still together like a football with no ends, and then just smothered in pesto sauce with a few tomatoes. My poor mother had to wait like an extra like 5 minutes for her soup to come along because they forgot that. And it was just like, okay. And my mom's looking like, can we leave? I'm like, no, you guys, we just left church. I can't leave. They need us. And they did, because there's a table next to us that was just being like the biggest pieces of shit. Like, things are going wrong with them too, but not half as bad as what we were experiencing. And they like got everyone's drinks. And it was like this other group was like eight. And just like a bunch of jamokes and like, hey, where's my this and my that, but those type of jamokes with a Sauvignon Blanc with a side of ice. I'm gonna have a vodka tonic. I'm gonna blah 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 blah. And the dad was at the end of the table, like, it was generations. It was the dad. It was just one of those dumb jamoke families. And there was something wrong with the order with the drinks. A couple of the drinks didn't arrive, so they call the guy over like, hey, yeah, you're forgetting something from my wife. And I'm listening, and I was like, just say what you need. So the guy is apologizing. This is the owner guy. He's apologizing. He gets the wine, and they're still not letting go. And I'm like, this is why we're not leaving. We can't leave this poor man and this staff to deal with assholes. We're going to be the generous people. We just came from church. Y'all need to learn patience. And then we are waiting for our entrees. And our entrees aren't coming. And people who came in like a full 30 minutes after us, who ordered much, much later than we did, all served. Everyone served. I'm just like, I'm literally like, I was like, I think I'm just gonna have to let Open Table know, like, this is just a bad experience, just because, like, I don't like doing this shit. I don't like doing this shit, but like, this is like when I say don't write a bad review, don't. This is when you can write it. Like, it was that bad where I was considering writing a horrible review for this restaurant when all of a sudden the owner comes up and is just like embarrassed, mortified, and just like, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Your entrees will be up in just a moment. Again, my mom was like, we're leaving. But I was like, no, no, no. And as soon as I said, Mom, we're not leaving, he walks up and is just profusely apologizing and says, your meal's on us tonight. And I was like, what? Like, I guess I'm not writing that bad review. And I didn't. We got our meal. It was perfectly fine. I was like, we're definitely not doing dessert. That much I know. We're not gonna do dessert. But like, the meal was fine. We finish up, get some cash, and I walk over to the gentleman because he's behind the bar because there's no bartender. So the owner's making drinks. I mean, it was a level of like, everything was going wrong this evening, and he didn't even know how to make drinks. So I go up and I hand him cash and I said, this is for your staff. Thank you so much for taking care of us. And he was like, you don't have to do this. We messed up your evening. And I was like, I was gonna be like, I'm in the industry because I hate that. So she's like, I have to do this. It's Christmas, and I have to do this. Your staff needs this money, and it's all done. It's already forgotten. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we leave, never to go back. And then I look online to see like because this place used to be the spot. I didn't think I'd have to go and check the reviews. 5-star review, 5-star review, all from over 6 months ago. I look at all the most recent reviews, and they're all 1 stars, and they're all exactly this same experience. Nearly this same freaking experience. And then I'm having dinner with my brother and my sister-in-law the day after Christmas. And I was like, so I went to this place, and which we know what it is, but I'm not going to say because I'm not going to fuck with them that way. But it is down the street from Anyamo and Banca. So I was like, so I went there, and my brother's eyes just get wider. He's like, yeah, tell me how that was. And I tell him word for word what happens, and he's like, yeah, that just happened to us. They went there to get some drinks and some food and da 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 da, and literally had almost the exact experience. And was like, and the owner was like so forward. He was like talking like, oh, you guys are such a nice couple. I hope you're happy. Da da da. You know, I have 3 daughters and 3 ex-wives. One of them tried to stab me, and like just literally like tells like all these inappropriate stories. Like, but you know, my daughter's a doctor, so I couldn't have done anything that wrong. And it was just like all just like too much information. And then my sister-in-law was like, another time she went and they called her over to the bar so that way she could show them how to make a martini, a dirty martini. And I'm like, you know, just to tie it back to how I front ended in the story, I say a lot of things on here about what you should and shouldn't do, and just from my experience. And sometimes, yeah, but sometimes go with your gut. Don't fuck over a restaurant with reservations if you can avoid it, if you cannot fuck them over. But baby, if your gut is telling you please don't go, don't go. Go to Anyamo and Banca. Actually, go to Anyamo and Banca. It's in South City on Grand Street. They're phenomenal there. We should have gone there every Christmas Eve from here on out. We're going there. I shouldn't have shared that with you because now we might not get a reservation from last year, but quality problem. I love them that much. I want them to be busy. Go check out Anyamo in Banca in South San Francisco. And yeah, that is I'm like, of course, I feel like I manifest these things with this podcast. I don't need content. I have a lifetime of stories to share with you. Or I could, just on Instagram, the things I see and discuss, like what bitchy waiter said this week. Universe, I don't need these experiences, but if you're going to give them to me, I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust that you're putting me there to be some sort of calm for these waiters and bussers and even the owners and management and maybe other guests. Just bring some calm into it. And maybe as we're going into the new year, that could be a focus of what you want to do. Just wherever you go, bring a little calm to the people around you and bring a little calm to yourself. Enjoy 2026. I am so grateful, and I can't wait to see you here next year. So yeah, let's get back on to our show with Nikki. Freaking love and adore her. I hope you adore this episode. You can check out all you need to hear about her in the comments below. All right, Happy New Year, everyone. Mwah. Hey there, just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at TUFF SHIFT Podcast. That's TUFF Shift Podcast. Everywhere. Literally everywhere. And just a reminder, gratuity's not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at tuffshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF shiftpodcast.com. All right, back to the show. It's a wonderful place, and I always tell people, and you guys were just named one of the best martinis in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, like, if you're going to San Francisco, if I find out someone's going to San Francisco, you need to go to Martuni's, because not only, like, it's a 10-ounce martini glass. My Irish ass family, when they came to my very first show, it was just like, because it's like, oh, what's it to an Irish person? Like, what's this gonna be? And it was just like, it took them out like that. And because they also Skip and y'all come up with some really fun seasonal cocktails, but also just your regular martini. It's probably one of the most affordable and one of the biggest martinis you will be able to have. And I would say, it's kind of like, when they used to say, like, wait 20 minutes after eating to see if you're still hungry. Wait about like 30 minutes after having a martini at Martuni's. Say that. And if you can say that, I will bring you another one. Like, just wait a little bit, because it might, or at least try to stand up before you order another martini, because they catch up with you.
Our signature cocktails are also in the martini glass, but they are so innocuous tasting. Like, my favorite is the cherry blossom, and it's so innocent tasting. It tastes like you're drinking a Capri Sun. I tell people, when we get to the second one, stand up and go to the bathroom, because that's when you'll feel it, is when you stand up.
Yeah. And they're so smooth, because I don't like sweet drinks, except for obviously a margarita, but I don't like my margarita to, induce diabetes. But like that's like the one sweet drink I'll have. But your drinks there, like, y'all have a watermelon martini, y'all have like, one year you guys did a sugar plum Shawnee cocktail, and it was like a plum martini, and it was like, yeah, and it was just so freaking good. And I'm like, how do you find this balance? And it's not like I don't know what it is, because like I don't drink these things normally, but it's just so balanced and so smooth, and also a bit misleading, like you said, because they will get you. I want to talk about, before we leave Martuni's, a lot of places throw around the idea of we're a family to kind of be able to take advantage of your generosity, and to kind of, instead of giving you what you need, they kind of wiggle that, like, we're a family here. But Martuni's really actually is a family. And how do you maintain that core group, and how do you maintain that sentiment, and like in cultivating it, and the people you bring in, and respecting each other, because like families aren't always fun, but like y'all really are a family. So can you unpack how that goes at Martuni's?
Well, the irony being, yes, it really is like a family. And I will say that as a boss, Skip's easily the best boss I've ever had. The man will give you the shirt off his back if he needs it. And you've seen that as a performer.
Yes.
He wants to take care of us, and he wants us to be happy. And like, literally, I've had taken time off where I've gone on a trip, and I'll stop by the bar for something before I leave. And he's like, do you need money? I'm like, no, Dad, I'm okay.
That's sweet.
Yeah. And so he really does try to take care of people. And obviously, he probably gets frustrated. I'm sure he gets frustrated with me, because I am not always easy to deal with. I know this about myself. But sometimes with the new kids, it's, there's always a teething period, right? Where you're just, you're getting a new tooth in and everybody's uncomfortable. But we figure it out. Part of that is, as servers and bartenders, we have to learn how to talk each other's language. And it's a different language with everyone that you work with.
Yes.
Pardon me, I have to cough. Oh, excuse me. Um, and as one of the older people on staff, the three of us, me, Skip, and well, we have a couple older people, but as one of the oldest people on staff, seniority wise, it's Skip, Michael, and I. Lauren actually no longer works at the bar. She moved to a bar that's in Oakland, so it's closer to where she lives. But I still, we do the podcast together. So
we're going to get to that.
Yeah. But so a lot of the drink cocktails, it's funny to see these newer kids because they're like, this cocktail's good, but it could be better. And we're like, could it? This drink has been here popular for 30 years.
Yeah.
But we've brought with these kids, working with older staff members, we have brought new drinks to the menu. We have the spicy pineapple now. We have a lychee martini now.
Ooh, people love that.
Oh, it's so popular. We brought in some classic cocktails. We have a bee's knees that we never had on menu before, but we also have a twist called the Killer Bee. So seeing the collaboration between the generations of bartenders, because we have kids that come in that are used to craft bars, which we are not. And so they want to experiment and try new things. And they have the leeway to be able to do that there. And if we have something that everybody agrees tastes great, we try it out on the customers, we throw it up on the specials board and have people try out. If they really like it, that's how the Killer Bee became a drink.
Yeah. That's wonderful, because restaurants are a perfect playground for that. I can't remember who we were talking with at one point. Maybe it was Nolan King, but like one of the best things about hospitality, because like when we came in and we were the kids and we were working with 40, 50, 60-year-olds and getting their life experience, and that kind of helped shape us into like the workers that we are as well. Like not just coming from our own generations and the families that raised us and that work ethic, but also having experience with people who aren't your parents, and you're like, oh, maybe mom and dad were right about this, and you see that beautiful marriage. And then also, again, looking back, like we talked about at the top of the show, like what can we learn from these kids? Like, oh, maybe we should play around with the cocktails a little more. That's so cool. Now I want to talk about Lauren and you, and kind of take this whole thing about family from hospitality and from places like that. And, some of the best things that I have to say I have gotten from working in hospitality are the lifelong friendships. And, maybe we don't text every day, maybe we don't see each other, maybe we don't call each other, but we got each other. We got for the rest of our lives, we have each other. And so you and Lauren, how did you bond, and how did what you guys have together kind of translate outside of Martuni's into your podcast?
We share trauma. Just being in the trenches. Well, for a lot of the time when I first started there, Lauren was my main bartender. And she is actually the person who shaped how I interact with other bartenders. Because I would come in, and being a first-time bar person, I would come in and just give orders, but I wasn't always listening. I wasn't always paying attention. And she was like, we work well together, but we could be so much better if you could do this.
Yeah.
You could, if you could look around a little bit and just make sure I'm in an okay place. Or, and my whole thing is, that's great, but when I come up and you're doing something, you're not facing me. If I call your name, can you just give me some signal so that I know that you heard me? And then I'll stop calling your name and I'll wait patiently. So my usual thing is I walk up to the bar and I'll say, so-and-so, when you have a moment. And as long as they acknowledge me, then I'm like, okay. And if I see that they're with a guest, or if I see that they're really busy doing something, then, I'll catch up on my slips that I need to write up, or I'll go bust some tables in the front if I see that it needs a bussing or a wipe down, a sweep something if I have to. I'll find busy work until they're ready for me. Because I don't like to go take more orders, because then it just sandbags them. And, in Martuni's, that can happen really fast.
100%. And it seems like it's like in any relationship, you communicate your needs, and then you get feedback based on their needs, and you grow together.
Yeah. And initially, I wasn't necessarily receptive.
Yeah, it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy hearing feedback.
And, but I took, had to take that moment and look at myself, because that's the other thing. When you're working in the hospitality industry, you have to stop and take a look at yourself and reinvent little pieces of yourself all the time. So I learned to do that. And then we just, late nights and We do open houses for holidays. So I'm like, hey, if you ever, if you don't have a place to go for Thanksgiving or for Christmas, come to my house. She started coming to my house, meeting the family, and we just started developing a friendship. And when I started this podcast, I started it by myself, but then I was like, God, I'm so boring. And she had been a guest.
No,
she
you're
had been a
not.
guest. She had been a guest on a vidcast that I do with the Golden Apple, and we were hysterical together. And we literally did a live feed where people from the bar would write in questions, and we laughed, and I was like, this would be so great for the podcast. So now we do it together.
That's wonderful. And what is this podcast that you have?
So it's What in the Mystical Hell? It is hell.
Oh, darn it,
No, it's me. You were
I
trying
censored
to be
myself.
It's okay. It's okay. I am completely, and you will, if you ever listen to my podcast, you will see I am completely uncensored there. Oftentimes I'm having a whiskey, so I really am going to tell you what I think. As long as I don't get an Irish brogue, then I'm not drunk.
Can I? Can I? Where does that happen? Like, I'm actually working on a story for my upcoming show, and it's like how I used my friend Janelle from college. We would always celebrate. She'd come up because she's from the Bay Area originally, and so she'd come back up home because she stayed in LA after college, and we would meet at her Irish cousin's house in the Richmond. And next to this giant Christmas tree, she would bring her menorah. We'd light the menorah. She'd say the prayers and all these things, and it was like, and at some point in the night, we all had Irish accents, and it's like, where did this, like, her cousin obviously because she's from Ireland, but like we, like Janelle and I were just like all of a sudden have brogues, and it's like, wow, what an amazing, that's another miracle of Hanukkah. Like, so
Well, I
that's
know,
a
and
good.
look at me. You just expect me to have a Spanish accent before an Irish accent, but it is, yeah. My brother
It comes
Oscar,
out.
who ultimately brought me to Martuni's, when he gets drunk, he's Irish, not Irish, English. Yeah,
God
it's
bless.
it's a very weird
Past life
phenomena. I don't know
regression.
how it happens. Yeah, but that's my tell.
Hmm.
Um, and so as a practitioner,
Of
I've never been a part of of witchcraft. Sorry, as a witchcraft practitioner, I've been a practicing witch for over 30 years, but I've always been a solitary. So I've never had a coven. I've had people that I've done workings with, but never really a specific group. Um, and not being a part of a particular path or tradition, I felt a lack of community. And about, I'm going to say 10 years or so ago, I joined a meetup group where I met who became my business partner, Diana Rachel. And we had a little group there, and I started to get a sense of community because we weren't all the same tradition. We weren't all the same path, but we learned to work together and we learned to appreciate each other's point of view. And when I was making this podcast, I was like, you know what? I can't be the only person out there that's feeling this. And as I've gone to conventions, I've met people that feel the same way, people that are eclectic witches or chaos mages or alchemists that don't necessarily have community. So this podcast is another stepping stone in the foundation I'm laying to build a community for all people that practice any of the mystical arts,
mm,
where you don't necessarily have to be a part of the same tradition or coven to appreciate each other. And so
that's
you hear a little
wonderful.
bit about my life stuff. You hear a lot of my weird, I don't know how censored your show is, but you hear a little bit about my,
Fuck, 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 fuck. You can say
excellent.
whatever you want on this show.
Okay. Well, I have a weird shit-o-meter. And most of the time, it is about 3 stories higher than everyone else's. So I share some of those stories as well.
Anyone you want to share now while it's up?
What I have, I'll share my since we're in the holiday season. So last Christmas, we have a fireplace in our house. It is a working fireplace. I love it to death. And one night, I was sitting there, and I was, the fire had died down, and I didn't really want to get up and redo it. And I was like, oh, it would be so great if you relit yourself. And I'm laughing at myself, and I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden, a little flame pops up. And then another one, and then another one, and it relit. Now, there's probably a scientific explanation for that, but there are spirits and things in my house, so maybe one of them is a little fire elemental that decided to give me my wish. So fast forward, a week or so later, it's Christmas night. We've had dinner, and we move our dining room table into the living room because it's just a bigger space. So that way we have room for everyone. Everyone's gone. Lauren was staying with us, but she's in the back room where I have my office here. and the door's shut. She's asleep. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of putting dishes away, and I'm on the side of the table that is furthest away from the fire. And I'm looking at the fire. I'm like, well, if you want to do it again, I won't say no. And it happened again. So I was, praised the fire completely both times without saying, the words thank you, because, that's not appreciated on the other side.
Okay, why can you explain why that's not appreciated on the other side?
Um, a lot of things, like if you work with the fairies, or a lot of non-corporeal personages, will say, the words thank you are very dismissive. It makes what has happened for you more transactional than the gift that it truly is. So we shy away from the words thank you, and we show our appreciation in other ways. Like I said, it is a lovely fire. I'm so appreciative of this. Like, I can be warm now.
I
So
love that.
you show your gratitude in other ways.
It's almost like in hospitality, like don't give me the verbal tip. Show me your gratitude.
Yeah.
Like don't just say thank you. Show me thank you. That's
A lot of times
I
it's
never knew
like,
that.
I think that sometimes thank you is like, I'm sorry. You bump into somebody, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. But
Mm.
so if you know me, I rarely use the words I'm sorry. If I apologize to you, I will let you know profusely. Like, and maybe I say the words, the literal words, but in that apology, it's not like, oh, sorry. You bump into somebody on the street. Oh, sorry. Are you really sorry? Because I can shoulder check you in the middle of the street if I think you're being an idiot and be like, ah, oh, sorry. You know,
Exactly.
it's the tone. So I try to make it very intentional if I am apologizing for something, because we both know words have power.
Exactly. Exactly. I was actually reading something. I was in one of the witchy groups that I look at on Facebook. Somebody had posted about needing money, and like I need this money. I need this. What is something I can do?
See,
And
creating.
one of the first comments was, "Be careful what you say, because you might get what you need in the way of somebody else's life insurance."
Mhm.
And it's like, and I learned that not in like witchcraft. I learned that in like my journey in, which I guess is witchy, in manifestations and things like that. It's like, make your intentions clear with what you need, what you desire, whatever. Like, be crystal clear, because when you just vague book it, you never know where things are coming from. You never know what you're really asking for. Now, I
Mhm.
asked you at the top of the show what your gateway job was into this industry. What was your gateway into witchcraft and finding magic in your life? Is it something you were born with, or is it something you developed? And can people develop it if they weren't born in it? And can people be born with it and just never realize that they have it? Like, can you? I know that's a huge question.
No, no, all things are true. Um, well, I don't know if I was necessarily born with it, but there were a lot of magical things that happened when I was a kid. And, sometimes the magical things that happen to you only happen to you and there's no one else around. Like the fire. Well, the first fire, someone was there with me. The second fire, I was all by myself. We call that, when it happens to you on your own, we call that personal gnosis. So it's
Hmm.
a quote unquote unbelievable thing that happened to you, but you're on your own. Now, when we have people around us and there's confirmation, that's a little bit different. That's something that you can document and say there were other people there, so I have verification. It's not just something that someone can tell you that you've imagined.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, there was a group of 6 of us that would always play together, and we always played at this fountain. It was a little courtyard with a fountain in between all the backyards. We'd always go play there. We'd do things. We'd have our adventures would always start from there. I'd come home and tell my mother about this, and she'd be like, "Oh, you're just being silly. Oh, you're just being silly." And then finally one day she's like, "Nikki, there is no fountain in between the yards. All the backyards butt up against each other. But there were 6 of us that played there."
I just got chills.
Mm-hmm. But how we got there, who knows? But I also had an aunt that always had little fairy statues, and she would always say, "The fairies are watching you guys, and when you're naughty, they tell me." And she would always know. We
Hmm.
never knew how. And when I would stay the night there and sleep in her room, I would swear that they moved. I would swear that those statues moved. But then you're a kid, and as you get older, you start to look at these things and go, "Ah, oh, It was probably just my imagination because the
She could
world
see in the
teaches
reflection. She could like all these excuses of like how the magic wasn't there.
exactly because the world teaches you that unexplainable things and miraculous things don't really happen when they do.
Exactly. I'm not somebody that I don't divorce magic from science.
Exactly, exactly. Because how many years ago did we believe the world was flat? How many years ago did they think that getting an illness was an evil spirit? We know now it's bacteria.
Exactly, which
You
is
know,
evil. Can be evil.
if you've ever had a bad night of tequila and
That's an evil
burritos,
spirit.
you know, yeah.
But I mean, science was alchemy at one point. You know, it's just like in that's just how it works. So like I don't necessarily
Mhm.
divorce it. I think of it as something that's like, oh, one like oh, they kind of there are two different ways of looking at things, and maybe one explains this one, and one explains the unexplained that we still don't know about this one. And it's just interesting to think. Like I always tell people, like one of the best places you can come from is, hmm, that's interesting, without necessarily needing the answer. Like, huh.
Exactly.
I've given
Well,
that advice to my brother so many times. Just say, huh, and sit with it.
yeah. Well, this courtyard we used to play in. Who knows? Maybe we found a portal to some place else. Maybe we were in another dimension. So that was 40 something years ago. In this time and place that we are right now, 2025, they can theoretically prove that other dimensions exist. They couldn't do that 40 years ago.
Hmm.
But now we know they are there. There are other planes around us. And we can scientifically prove that. Magic is just science that hasn't caught up with the times.
That is, yep, 100%. Now, what is your advice to somebody that like is so you know a little bit about my family, I'm sure, from my brother that my abuelita, especially on that side of our family, very very connected people. Her youngest sister was a very powerful psychic. My abuelita has a very amazing insight. I still feel her with me. My mom has a gift. Lots of people in our family have a gift, and there was actually one I'd actually like to share this story with you, even
Oh,
though
yeah.
this
I'd
is
love to hear
your
that.
interview.
Yeah.
So there were a few times that we, before my abuelita actually passed, where it was close. It was real close. And one of those times, I think it was 2017, I was out with my roommate and we're on our way to a birthday party, and I get a phone call. And it's just like, it's happening. And so
Mhm.
they zoomed me in. And and this is going to sound a little braggadocious, and I was made fun of this forever. So they put the iPad up to her, and I spoke to her, and I said, and I had already bought my ticket, but we were at this bar, and I was like, "Wait for me, I'm coming home." She moved.
Mhm.
She moved, and then I got home first flight I could get in the morning. I was out there, and her sisters were there. And at some point, I don't know whose suggestion it was, but somebody said, let's pray the rosary. And for people who don't know, like, yes, Catholic is Christian, but it's also very mystical. It's a very mystical religion, very magical. And it's like the prayers are chants. And so my grandmother's sisters were there, and the youngest one especially, the one who's a really powerful psychic, and we all joined hands over her and we prayed the rosary, and I swear to
Mhm. Deity. Yep.
all around us, it didn't feel like church. It felt out of this world, and it wasn't the rosary that we had to learn. It was magical, and it was like this coven holding hands over her and praying for her spirit for whatever outcome needed to
Yeah.
happen. And we got her for another 2 years. Not that
Mhm.
that you can necessarily set that intention, but you can open the intention to receive amazing things. And not only did we get
That's
her back, but she was out of a wheelchair for her last 2 years
yeah.
and walking. Like,
So people talk about the power of prayer, which is a very, very real thing. So I teach workshops about witchcraft, and this is what I ask people in the beginning if they've ever done magic in their lives. And most people say no. And I say, okay, did you ever wish on a birthday candle? I'm asking you, did you ever wish on a birthday
oh,
candle?
yeah, I make wishes all the time. I make wishes at red lights, green lights, all that.
Mhm. You're
Tunnels,
asking the
when your
universe to
tunnel's going to the Bay
manifest.
Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're asking the universe to manifest your desire. Now, I know that you've prayed because you're Catholic. I was Catholic. We are communicating with the deity
Mm-hmm.
to help us manifest our desires.
Exactly.
Prayer is a wonderful thing, and I may call it a spell, and a Catholic person or Christian person may call it a prayer, but we're appealing to the same big group, the universe itself. Whether, and I don't think that we are all praying to the same deity under a different name, because I can tell you they have very different personalities. They are they are interesting to work with, but they're all connected, and this is how we are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why people argue so much about different religions, because we come from so many different cultures that are accepted fact. But when it comes to religion, it can't just be a part of your personal culture, your personal religion. We have to argue about whose is better. But now, are you going to tell me that my culture from Spain is different from our culture in Australia? Like, which is better? Nobody argues that. They're just like, oh, it's just you live in Australia. Okay.
Two ways of living life, experiencing
Yeah.
food, experiencing music, yeah.
I
I
don't
also
understand.
find that to be a weakness in people, whatever it is they practice or believe in or whatever. Like when you have to do that dick measuring over
Mhm.
which faith or non-faith is better than the other, it's like I think that's more of an insecurity in your part and how you feel about it. Because if you can't just practice what you believe and love what you believe and allow other people, same thing with the holiday season.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I came to work, chatted with this lovely couple, and the thing in the South Bay is you never know who you're talking to. The South Bay is an interesting collection of people. You think they're cool, and then you're like, oh, I know who you voted for. But we're not going to go there. But I was talking to this couple, super cool, talking about all these cool things, and then I was like, hey, happy holidays. And the guy, had he just said, thank you, Merry Christmas, I would have been like, whatever. But it was just the way and the tone, which he's like, yeah, Merry Christmas to you. And I'm like, does it have to be that? That's part of that's all part of it. It's like, can we all just exist at the same time and
Yeah.
celebrate and not celebrate at the same time? Like, can we make that happen?
Yeah.
Can we be secure in ourselves? And that's like where, especially now in the holidays, it's a really good example of the point you're making around that. Before I talk, because I want to talk about the holidays and witchcraft and intentions and setting spells and all that. What are some misconceptions that right now, to listeners who were like, I tuned into a hospitality podcast, what are what are intentions? Because I say you never know how talented or how amazing and what people have going on in their life that are clearing your plates, refilling your water, and cleaning up your spills. So, what are some misconceptions that people have around witchcraft and around just all of that you'd like to be like, hey, just so you know, it's not that.
What are the the fun misconceptions? Well, one, that you're automatically evil. Oh, you must be with the devil. Look, I don't worship the devil. Close family friend, maybe, but I don't worship the devil. Um, we just don't see eye to eye on a lot of topics. Sorry, that was a joke. Um, but being a part of a mystical tradition, or actively practicing witchcraft, doesn't make you. There is no good witches or bad witches. There are good and bad people, or there are
Hmm.
morally great people that make good and bad choices.
Hmm. I like that.
Will I say that I have never, or I will never delve in dark arts? That would be a lie. I'll hex somebody if they need it, because sometimes you do need it. But most of the working that I do is for the betterment of people in general.
Hmm.
And I help people to learn. I empower people to be able to learn how to do this for themselves. Also, they think, and I understand, because in California there is a lot of witchy woo. They're like, oh, you must know all about these crystals. No, but Google does. I will Google things I don't know in a heartbeat. I don't have all the mysteries of the universe. I can't wiggle. If I could wiggle my nose and make things happen, you know how clean my house would be?
I mean,
I wouldn't use it for money. I wouldn't use it for any of the things you think people would use it for. I would use it to clean my house and make me a cup of coffee.
literally.
Or in the bar, all my dishes would be done. All my
All the
glassware
bar
would be.
rags would be folded, like all that
If I
work.
if
Skip
I
doesn't
could
have to
wiggle
know.
my nose and make things happen, everyone would have their drinks now, and I could take a break.
It's like that scene in Sleeping Beauty where the fairies like finally use their magic to like get like that's what we do it for.
Except for me, something would go wrong and I'd be like Fantasia.
And it's
I'd
just
be
like, oh
Mickey
my
Mouse
God.
and everything would be spinning all over the place. Yeah, it'd be
Skip
great. But
walks
the
in
house,
like, where'd all this popcorn come from?
yeah.
So with all of that, like, and it is the holiday season. People, and it is a very, I think, spiritually deep and meaningful time. We just came through like five super moons. We came through the 12/12
Oh my
portal. By the time
goodness.
this is, being recorded, became through all these things. What is it that you would advise people in, like, if you're going to set intentions, if you're going to dip into magic now, if you're going to do, what is that you would advise people, and like how to not just get the most out of you want, but like the best way to do it and to approach it, so that way it's coming from a truer place and not a desperate place.
One of the things that I would say is approach it with the seriousness that it deserves rather than, I think a lot of people that when they delve into magic initially, it's frivolity. Oh, I'm going to do this spell. Oh, I'm going to play with this Ouija board, which I do advise people against unless you're one of the most experienced of practitioners because things happen. Um, Remember that in this darker part of the year, this is the part of the year, the winter, when you see in nature everything is shutting down, everything is recharging. And that's what we as people need to redo because we don't do that for ourselves as much. Whatever the winter of your life is when you need to recharge, you need to honor that time and take it.
Mm.
So at this time of year, when we're coming out of Samhain into Yule, because remember that for a lot of people that follow the pagan wheel, Samhain is like witch's New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
But Yule is that time in between before we're in that darkest part of the year before the light starts coming back. So we are taking this time to close out. We're going to close things out that need to be closed out. So bad habits. Everybody, when New Year's hits, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to do this, my New Year's resolution. And that comes from at this part of the year, we're closing out all those bad habits and trying to start fresh. But it's time to evaluate yourself. Before we start trying to manifest all these grandiose things, take stock of your life and really look what serves you, what no longer serves you. Because
Mm.
those are the important things. You don't have room in your life for abundance if you're hanging on to these things that are just dragging you down.
Mm.
Um, for me, part of it is that I need to let myself know that it is okay to slow down when I need to slow down. We're getting bigger and better things with the shop, and one of my greatest traits and worst traits is that I do well under a time clock, under pressure. I had a month and a half to get ready for this last market, and it boiled down to the last few weeks that I actually started doing things. I probably made about 30 products no, more than that, in the last week. And it was just jam packed trying to get everything done. Literally in the hotel on the island, I'm doing the last touches on things. I should have been able to easy peasy breeze through it and just have everything spent Friday just packing everything in what it needed to go and just sitting in that hotel room and watching Netflix all night.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want to drive across. I was only on Alameda Island, but just doing that bridge drive in the morning. Whew, and but I push myself. So the great thing is that I can get a lot of things done in a short period of time, but I shouldn't have to. Just
Yeah.
because we can do something doesn't mean, and that's very true not only in your life but in magic. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you always should.
Mm.
So once we've looked at and gotten rid of, we've trimmed the fat a little bit on our lives and what no longer serves you, because that's really, really important to know. Sometimes we hold on to things for nostalgia. Sometimes we hold on to things because we're scared of something new coming, or just because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Probably everybody has in their closet a dirty, ratty sweatshirt that's 50 years old. We have it just because it's comfortable. That's my favorite sweatshirt. I'm never going to let it
Mm-hmm.
go. Honey, that sweatshirt was 20 pounds ago. In either direction.
Yeah.
I have stuff in my closet. I know there's a pair of pants in my closet right now that I'm like, I'm going to get back into that size. Brand new. I'm going to get back into that size. But you know what? I keep it there because I'm slowly going back to that size.
Yeah.
And that is I don't have now 13 pairs of pants that are that size, just the one. So when I get there, those are my celebration pants. How am
I
I going
love
to
that.
celebrate? Probably with a piece of pie. But
As you should.
I am very much a hedonist in my life, that I am not afraid to eat the thing, drink the thing, say the thing, do the thing.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't take it to excess. And at this time of year, there's a lot of excess that we have. Do we need it? If anything that these kids have taught me is the benefits of therapy.
Hmm.
Um, though sometimes I look at them and I'm like, I asked someone once to not be rude to my piano player, and they told me that the conversation that I had with them was triggering for them and it was traumatizing. I said, why
Well, then
don't you go talk to somebody over in Syria and ask them about traumatizing?
and not to make it a competition, but it's like, okay, so if that's real and true, I trust you to manage that with your therapist. Like, let's have it out. And like, yeah, that's interesting. You talk about like therapy, and then especially coming from Hispanic households and stuff like that, where it's interesting. But I recently just
Therapy
started
is
a
death.
therapy journey, and I've actually I'm very pro therapy. But I
Mhm.
just never did it for myself. I did like self help. I did these workshops. I did all that. Very much into it, but I never really did therapy as an adult. And actually, I'm like, wow, I'm actually finding the benefits of it. But I'm also from a generation of personal accountability. So,
And
so
thank you. That is the phrase. There's not a lot of personal accountability that always goes on. My issue with finding a therapist is I need a therapist that I can be completely candid with. And a lot of, the witchy woo side of my life, I don't want to get committed.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good, well, and before I we get to plug in your shop and your podcast, another story about my abuelita when she got her, I think it was her breast cancer diagnosis years ago. Um, and the doctor or social worker came in and was like, Mrs. Kaskaya, just so you know, where are these resources? And then she was trying to basically say, like, this is what we can do with medicine. And we also have
Mhm.
this available to you. And she wasn't understanding. And she asked my tia Evie to be like, ¿Qué dice? ¿Qué dice esa? And she's like trying to explain to her. And she's like, if you want to talk to somebody about what you're going through. And my abuelita just goes, El loquero, the crazy doctor? She goes, no, thank you. I'll talk to God. And it's one of those things where it's like maybe not the healthiest outlook on it, but like I really do believe that she had that part
Mhm.
taken care of for her, where
Oh
she
yeah,
had where she could commune with what she needed to commune with and manage her feelings. But therapy is also an amazing resource that
it is.
I absolutely love and adore. And I've talked enough about on the show. And again, this podcast is about you today. So I want you to tell people how to find you online, your shop, the practitioners that they can find on your website, and also
Mhm.
your podcast and what people can learn and how they can follow and support you there.
Their masochism listening to my podcast. Yeah. Um, I have been very, very controlled in this podcast, just because I do get kind of wild on my own. But our shop is called Golden Apple Metaphysical. You can find us on most of the social media platforms. Um, we are on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Instagram is probably the most current information for us. My business partner is Diana Rachel, and she's written a lot of books about witchcraft. Um, I am slowly foraying. See, I was always the person in our business partnership that I was the person that sat back and I was like in the shadows and she's in the spotlight. And I'm totally okay with that.
Hmm.
But now she's in Michigan and I'm here trying to make the shop work. We don't have a physical location yet, but that is our goal. And now I have to like step into the light. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, and which I have been doing more with doing these markets and teaching workshops. It is a very slow thing because partially because I think we all have that imposter syndrome in our head.
Hmm.
Um, but mine is like, why do people want to hear what you have to say? And what I'm finding is that a lot of people live a very similar experience to what I have lived as a practitioner, and it's comforting for them to understand that they are not the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you're going through out there, likely we know someone that has gone through something similar. Um, the podcast is What in the Mystical Hell podcast. It is about my journey as a witch, and we have things like, I think our next episode is the dichotomy of good and evil in different cultures,
Hmm.
because it changes based on the Western world and the Eastern world. Have very different, when you get out of the Judeo-Christian pantheons of religion and you move into other aspects in the world, there are different views on good and evil. Like in a lot of cultures, they believe in dualism, whereas in the Judeo-Christian beliefs, there's a lot of, we have an enemy that we're fighting. Evil is the enemy and we're fighting. In other cultures, not being balanced is the enemy, right? Coming back into balance is what our goal is. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in that podcast. But we do stuff like movie nights where we're talking about, we just talked, our last one was about paranormal movies. And we talked about, one of the movies we talked about was like the 13 Ghosts, and I'm like, oh, I got the hell out of Dodge. And it's our take about spooky things and what we think is accurate, what we think is not accurate. Because, historically, movies have been a little bit of detrimental to practitioners because they paint a picture of us that isn't necessarily there. But that narrative is changing. You can find us either one online. What the Mystical Hell is also on Instagram. You can find it under that name. So it just shows different events that we do. If you go on the website, we're goldenapplemetaphysical.com, and you can see what do we have as different practitioners. There's Diana, who, again, has been a practicing witch as long as I have. She is also a tarot reader. The services that we provide at the shop are things like amorphous problem solving. So if you have weird witchy shit that's going on and you've gone to other practitioners and no one can help you, if we can't help you, we likely know someone who can. And we will go through, our goal is to help people out of it, so we're out of a job, right? It's not that, oh, I have this candle for you. Oh, it didn't work because there's a big black cloud around you. We're trying to dispel the charlatan label that gets plopped on you sometimes too.
Like Santa in Miracle on 34th Street, sending everyone to other shops, being like, which seems again like that's actually what you need. And I'm going to say, and that creates a beautiful community. So all of that information will be in the show notes below, whatever platform you're listening to us on. Also, if you're watching on YouTube. Now, before I let you get on with your day and recover from your last shop of the season, and before I have to get ready in mindset to go sling some more drinks with fun garnishes, we like to. You said this earlier, and it was exactly the whole point of this podcast, and I couldn't wait to come back to this part of it, where you like to go out of your way to sing people's praises to people who need to hear it. So with that waitress at that hotel, and you let the manager know, sang her praises, like, it is so easy in this industry for just the bad news. And in life, bad news travels faster than anything. And the good news and the good things don't get said nearly enough. So when I'm having a good time at work, I like to let my managers know, just so you know, these people were on it today. These people made my job easier. The kitchen killed it. They killed it. Boom, boom, boom. And if I'm out and I'm having a great time, I need to let them know, like, just so you know, you have an amazing staff here. Just so you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to end the show and give you the opportunity to acknowledge somebody in any area of your life, witchcraft, serving, family, all these things, who has made a tough shift, however you interpret that, easier for you. And you just want to say thank you to them today.
I just kind of want to say thank you to my team in general. At Martuni's, this holiday season has, it's been a little rough. We all have had things going on, but when push comes to shove, we are jumping in, and there are days that people haven't been able to work. Like, we had a bartender that got sick. He was out for over a week. Everybody rallied together to get those shifts because we're a very small staff. I think maybe we have 10 people, maybe.
Wow.
You said yourself, we just had a sign up where we were looking for experienced bartenders and servers. So when someone gets sick for us, it's critical.
Yeah.
And, we've had days where we are really like, if I can't get somebody to cover it, we have to close down the bar. And in the middle of this season,
Can't,
closing
yeah.
down your business for a day, that's a hit. And
And
we've
this is
been,
what's going to get you through the January slump until Valentine's Day when things pick up again.
yeah. And we talked about that. And I will say for people out there, industry and otherwise, we all get caught up in the crazy for the holidays, and we don't think about, remember in January, save your pennies because January going to be slow. That's our time to recharge.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, the team there has definitely, we have come together, and we don't always like each other. We
That's
irritate the hell out
family.
of each other sometimes. But when push comes to shove, I specifically want to shout out, Dan, who's my normal bartender right now. He and I are usually paired together, even though like Houston, Caleb, Ivan, the other bartenders. We have some new bartenders on staff that are doing really well, and my servers with me. They know I love them, even though I'm tough love. Um, but we really have come together when we need to, just to keep the business rolling because we are such an iconic spot in San Francisco. We had Kesha in the bar Thursday night. She sang with Joe Maggs.
Oh, that's what people were sharing. I get so much anxiety. Like I never have sound on anywhere on my phone. So like people send me reels and I'm like, I'll just get the gist of it. That's phenomenal. Well,
Yeah,
there you have it. So to the staff of Martuni's, to Dan, to Skip, the matriarch, the patriarch of the entire establishment, who has made a community, who has given me one of the best gifts in my life as a performer. Thank you. And to the family that we built at Martuni's, and even when I moved on to Feinstein's, Skip said, "This is exactly what we're here for: is to get you kids where you need to go." So to everyone at
yeah,
Martuni's, thank you so much for everything you do. Clearly, the world needs more people like you, and thank you for making our tough shifts easier. This
yeah.
has been another episode of Tough Shift. And just remember, tough shifts build character, and character
Oh,
is
I'm a
what brings your
character.
story to life. Oh, you sure are. And that's what brings your story to life. Y'all take care. I'm not from
Okay.
the South. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Sean Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life.